Hey my lovely Papercraft friends, how you doing? Thank you so much for popping in today and welcome to a brand new video at Papercraft Business. Now today in this video I'm going to show you how to create an easy interactive pull tab card without having to use any special dies or any special gadgets. I'm going to save you money because all you're going to need is a small magnet that you can easily get at your local $1 shop. Now for those of you that are new here, my name is Lisa Walsh and welcome to my channel. If you're looking for a little creative inspiration to top up your creative inventory of ideas, then feel free to subscribe, as I love to upload a new video every single week. At least I try my best to do so. So stay with me to the end of this video because I think that you're going to be amazed at how quickly and easily this interactive card came together. So stay tuned. Are you ready? Let's do this. Now ladies, let me ask you a question. Have you ever tried the technique of ink smooshing? Well, let me tell you, this is the very first time that I've ever tried it. I've seen other people do it online and I thought, well, if I can't do this, I'm in trouble. So I decided to dedicate my morning last week and give the ink smooshing a go. Oh my goodness, such fun. Such awesome, easy fun. Now I did create a few backgrounds before this one, hence the inky fingers, but I'll tell you more about that a bit later. So to start with, I dabbed the Tumble Glass Distress ink onto my pre-made customized mat, which I'll also tell you more about further on in the video. Anyway, I then sprayed the ink with some water, then picked up the ink with a Ziploc bag, and then transferred the ink and smooshed it from the plastic bag onto the Bristol Smooth card. It's really as simple as that. When you're happy with the effects that the tumbled glass has created, you can let it dry or you can use your heat tool. Now mine just basically dried within a minute or so. Once it's dry, you can then incorporate and lay down different colours. Now here I'm using some broken china, which again I diluted and then transferred onto the Bristol Smooth card with the Ziploc bag. I quickly realised when it came to adding different colours and layers to the background, I realised that I had excess ink left over. So I grabbed a scrap piece of Bristol Smooth card, which was approximately 5 inches by half an inch. So what I ended up doing was that before I started a new layer, a new colour, I would soak up that excess ink with that strip of card, because at the end of the day I was going to use that as the actual pull tab for the card, and that way the pull tab would easily blend in with the background because it's using exactly the same inks. Now the next colour that I used on my background was Salty Ocean Distress ink, and again I squished the ink pad onto my little pre-made craft mat that I created and sprayed some water on top of the ink, then picked up the ink with a Ziploc bag and simply transferred it onto my background. Now again, once I was happy with the layer I had created with that colour of ink, I would then grab the makeshift pull tab and soak up the ink. And also, just to note, before you go and apply other colours, just make sure you wipe down your workspace with some kitchen toweling, just to make sure that you do clean up that whole area, because you don't want to pick up any leftover ink and transfer it onto your other ink pad. Otherwise, you'll contaminate it. So next up, I used Chip Sapphire Distress ink. It's a bit of a darker colour this time, but I wanted to give the impression of depth in the ocean towards the bottom of the background. Now this technique has really opened a whole new world of using my inks in a different way. It can be messy, and you'll see later on in the video just how messy my fingers got, so I highly suggest that you use some disposable gloves while you're doing this technique, unless you love inky fingers. I mentioned my pre-made mat, which was basically some printer paper that I put through my laminator machine, and the reason why I created a different mat rather than using my black mat that's underneath is because I figured the white mat would actually help me see where I had laid the ink down, whereas the black mat would hide it somewhat and make it harder to see. Once I did use the inks once, I then went on a second round and added all of the colours all over again. I won't show that here in the video just to save up a bit of extra time. Now once I'd finished all my ink smooshing and absolutely loved the way it turned out, I still felt that it was missing something. So I ended up diluting some more Salty Ocean Distress ink and just splattered it over my background with a brush. I just felt like it added that little bit of extra texture to the card. Now once that was finished, it was time to move on with stamping my images. For my images, I used the Lawn Fawn Duh-Nuh Stamp set, seahorsing around, and the little fishies were from MFT Oddly Love You stamp set. And I also used a little fish in the Sunny Studio Polar Playmate stamp set. I stamped them up with Memento Tuxedo black ink and also used my stamping tool. But some of the actual images didn't make it to the card because I didn't use the rocks, as I just wanted it to look like a deep ocean. Therefore, no ground. So I left most of the rock features out. After they're all stamped out, I then proceeded to cut them out with my Silhouette Cameo machine. Now to create the actual card panel, I die cut the ink smoosh background with the MFT A2 Stitch Rectangle Stack Set 1 dies. Now I use these dies a lot and I just simply love the stitched impression that they give. I think they're really effective. Now I wanted the pull tab to be a little bit stronger because it was quite flimsy. So I decided to double up the thickness by adding some extra cardstock and adhering them both together. I also did end up trimming the length down a bit so that it would fit and be the right size of the card. Next it came to stamping my sentiment, and the sentiment I used was You Are Jawsome from the Lawn Fawn Duh-Nuh stamp set, which I also inked up with Memento Tuxedo black ink, and of course I used my stamping tool. Now to help ensure that the placement was correct, I did use a little bit of acetate that I could stamp onto before actually stamping the sentiment onto my card. It just helps prevent me from making a mistake on the card panel when I've already spent all that time creating the background, as fun as what it was. So what I do is I put the stamp onto the stamping tool, I ink it up, and then I place the acetate on the card panel with where I want the sentiment to be. Then I stamp the sentiment onto the actual acetate. That way I'm able to see exactly where I want the placement of the sentiment, and if I don't get it right the first time, I can maneuver it. And then all I need to do is adjust the acetate if I need the sentiment in a different place. Once it is in the right place, I just simply remove the acetate, re-ink the sentiment stamp, and then stamp it directly onto my card. Then it came down to me applying some foam adhesive to the back of the panel so that when the pull tab was actually behind the panel, there was enough room for it to move around. And then sure enough, at this point, I ran out of foam tape. So typical. But never mind, there was simply enough for me to cut the rest off, and then later on I could adhere it down with some liquid adhesive. But mental note, Lisa, you need to purchase some more foam tape. I bet you I forget. I did actually create a stopper channel alongside the back of the panel just to make sure that the pull tab didn't actually go any further than I wanted it to go. It's then that I realised that I needed to create a little handle for the pull tab, so I used a smaller circle in the Lawn Fawn large dotted circle stackable dies and then die cut that with some white cardstock. I then put the pull tab into its rightful position and then worked out the length that I needed the pull tab to be. So I trimmed off the excess with my scissors and then I adhered the white circle to the pull tab. Now later on I did end up die cutting another circle and adhered them one each side of the pull tab and made sure that the circles stuck together so that the pull tab was actually in between the two circles, if that makes sense. Now, I don't have any interactive stamps that read anything like pull or push or anything like that, So what I did do was I die cut the little arrow from the Lawn Fawn Magic Iris Scalloped add-on die, and it worked like a charm. Mind you, I've used this Magic Iris Scalloped die for so many other cards that I haven't put on my YouTube channel yet, but I still have not, to this day, created a proper Magic Iris card. But I will get there. It's coming up soon, so don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you do not miss that video or a few videos when they actually come out. Now, once the pull tab was done, I then gathered my coloured images, my 2 whales, 2 gorgeous little seahorses, and also some cute little fishes. What's an ocean without some fishes, I ask? Now, I coloured my images with Copic markers off screen just so that this video wouldn't be as long as it already is. However, I have listed all the Copic colours that I used along with all the supplies that I used to create this card in the description below. And to make the pull tab interactive, you need to have 2 small little magnets. Now, one needs to be adhered to the pull tab itself, and the other needs to be adhered to the image that you want to move around on the front of your card. So in this case, it needs to be adhered to the other whale. Now, you should use a strong adhesive to ensure that the magnets stay in place throughout the action that they're going to get out of it. And so I use liquid glue for mine to adhere the magnet to the pull tab, as that was the strongest glue that I have. Now remember not to try out the interactive element after you've just adhered them together, as you need to allow time for the adhesive to dry. So set it aside for a while and then come back to it a bit later. Now obviously I'd already adhered the panel down to my card base, and then it came time to adhere the coloured images in their rightful spot on my card. Once the interactive elements have dried and the magnets will stay in place and not move, put the pull tab into the back channel of the card panel and then simply position the whale that has the other magnet on it on top of the card panel so that the magnets will automatically connect to each other. Then you'll be able to move it around. I just love how the whale flips and turns as you move it, doing somersaults. And the great thing is that this card is so easy to create, and now you have a very simple interactive element that didn't even require any fancy or expensive dies or elements. Very easy and lots of fun. Now I wanted to create a few bubbles for my ocean scenes, so I used some glossy accents and just placed some bubbles here and there on the card. Now coming up next is another interactive card. This time it's a spinner card, and not just any spinner card. This one even blew my mind, and I really am honestly shocked that I could even pull it off myself. So if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, because then you'll be notified and alerted when that new card video hits my channel, and you'll be one of the first ones to see it. So if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up, as it does help my channel and also lets me know that you do like this sort of content, and I will produce more. Maybe you could even let me know in the comments with what you'd like to see me create next. Now I hope you enjoyed this video and was able to pick up a few helpful tips along the way. Now if you stayed and watched to the end of this video, you're an absolute legend, and thank you so much. You most definitely should subscribe so we can hang out more. Plus, if you like this interactive card, you'll most definitely love my swing cards that I created in my last video, where I used the Lawn Fawn Really High Five stamp set. Click on it and we'll catch up there. Thanks so much for watching. Take care and have a fantastic creative day. Bye for now.